Welcome to the third video. In this video, I'm gonna briefly review the 75 books I read in 2025. I read a combination of physical, ebooks, and audiobooks. I have literally no stats to say right now. I may put some on the screen, but I just did not prepare for that, so I'm sorry. But I'm gonna go over all the books I read, give a brief review. Going through the list, some of them I know I read, I don't really remember much about it, so it'll be a very brief review. I will go through the books in the order I read them this year, unless it was like a series that I spaced out, in which case I will just talk about them all at once to make it easy and seamless. And I'm just gonna jump right in. So the first book I read this year was Mile High, and then a couple books after that I read the second one, The Right Move. These are sports romances, and these were actually my first sports romances I ever read, and I liked The Right Move better than Mile High, and I decided I like sports romances. Books were really cute and I want to continue the series. And the next book I read was the fifth Percy Jackson book, which I do not remember the name of it, and I don't remember reading that this year. I started my reread of that series last year, continued it this year. It's a good series. Then I read Spectacular, which is the wintry novella in the Caraval series. It was very, very short. I swear it was like 2 hours. Like, it was the shortest novella I listened to it. It was cute, but like, I didn't like it as much as the rest of the series. And then the first physical book I finished of the year was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And I really liked this one. It was really out of my comfort zone, but I enjoyed it. I feel like it was kind of slow at certain parts, but I'm glad I read it and I would recommend it. And then I read The Giver of Stars because I have been working through Jojo Moyes's books because I read Me Before You last year and I really enjoyed that trilogy. Yeah, this one was a little slow at points because it is a historical romance, but overall I really did enjoy this one. And then I did read 5 of the One Piece manga this year. I read all 5 of these in the first 3 months of the year and haven't touched it since. I'm sorry, Caduce. These are his books that I'm borrowing, and I've been borrowing them for like 1.5 years, and I'm still only on the 18th one. But yeah, I really do like One Piece, and I really would like to get back into it in 2026. Very cute. Sorry if I changed positions. I had to go shut my door because my dog was being loud. Anyway, then I read Fairest and Stars Above. These are like, I actually don't remember if they're novellas or full-length novels, but they're in the Lunar Chronicle series, which I actually have that box set right here. I read them in 2024. Really absolutely love them. I listened to audiobooks, and then I bought the box set this year. I actually thrifted that for like $30 or less for like all of them. This is... Oh, poop. Oh, it does have them in here. Also, the box it came in is a little broken, but that's fine. So these are the 2 I read. They are like pretty much full-length novellas. This one is about the like evil queen in the series, and this one is about... Oh, these are just short stories? I honestly don't remember anything about these. I remember reading this one though. I love this series, you should read it. And then I read Onyx Storm, which I do have a physical copy of, but I did read it on my Kindle. And I really do love the Fourth Wing series. I know it is overhyped, and I know some people think it has gone downhill since the first one. I'm still thoroughly enjoying the series. And then I read Instant Karma, which was a YA coming-of-age rom-com that was like cute, fun, wasn't the best, not much to report. And then I read Artemis. In 2024, I discovered Andy Weir because my boyfriend got me to read The Martian and Project Hail Mary, and he became one of my favorite authors. And so this was the only book of his I have not read, and I did not like it. This is a sci-fi thriller, and I feel like it is not his strong suit, and what makes him a good writer did not work in this genre. So I was not a big fan of this one, but I will still say he's one of my favorite authors. And then I reread A Curse for True Love. This is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber, because I had reread the first 2 and hadn't reread the 3rd one. Honestly, the 3rd one is my least favorite in that trilogy. It was kind of like a letdown, and rereading it still was kind of a letdown. There's like definitely parts I like, but like the second one is my favorite. And then I read the second book in the Mistborn series, Well of Ascension, and then later in the year I read Hero of Ages, the third one. Mistborn is my first dive into Brandon Sanderson. I know he has a lot of books, and I think he's a very good writer, and I would like to read more because I really did enjoy Mistborn. I'm just very intimidated by how long his books are. And then I read Golden Compass. This is a book my friend gave me because it was like her favorite book from when she was a kid, and this is one of the weirdest books I ever read. I feel like it is middle grade, and I feel like you could truly only enjoy it if you are that age. I feel like if you're an adult trying to read this for the first time, you're just like, the whimsy is just not gonna like appeal to you. And yeah, it was just really weird. Not bad, just weird. And I don't think I'm the audience for it. And then I read It Ends With Us because I hadn't read it, and this was after the movie had come out, but it was still being talked about, and I hadn't read it because I've only read one other Colleen Hoover book, and I decided to listen to it, and I oddly enjoyed it. I know she's a very I can't even think of the word, just a complicated author. Like, people have a lot of mixed feelings about her writing. I think what I appreciated about It Ends With Us, and I also read It Starts With Us next, is I really did like the depiction of the toxic relationship in it. And I feel like it was a pretty realistic depiction of what it's like to be in a like abusive relationship, and how you act in it and then how you overcome it. And I just think it was really well done. Like, the writing isn't perfect, but I do think I really like the way that storyline was depicted, and it does not like glorify it or romanticize it. It's like real. And I actually was like really nervous to read that book knowing that it was about an abusive relationship, but I actually really like the way it was depicted. And then I read Heartstopper 2. I read the first one in 2024 and I really loved it. And I have the third one and maybe the fourth one on my shelves to read, and I haven't read them. I don't know why I never got to the rest of them this year, because I really, really love this series and these characters. It's just adorable, and I giggle the entire time. I love this series. All right, so then Sunrise on the Reaping came out on my birthday, by the way. This is another Hunger Games prequel. So, in preparation for this coming out, I reread The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and Battlestar Birds and Snakes, all of which I've read multiple times. And then later in the year, I reread The Hunger Games and Catching Fire, and then never reread Mockingjay again, which is weird for me because I always read them all together. But anyway, I read all those that many times this year. I love The Hunger Games. I will never shut up about it. If you have not read it since you were little, please read it as an adult. It is a phenomenal series, and I really, really loved this addition to it. I think you learn so much more about the world in this book, and if you think you know Haymitch's story, like, you do not, and you need to read this. It was very good. It's very emotional. I love this world. I love these characters. I'm so excited for the movie. I'm excited to read it again. I love The Hunger Games, and I just didn't feel like getting out all the books, so that's why I'm holding this one. I obviously own all of them. I own 2 copies of all of them. Then I read Next of Kin. I have read one other book by this author. Oh my god, I don't remember the name of it. It was like one of my favorite books I read last year. That's crazy. I loved that book. Out on a limb. Okay, so my boyfriend bought me this book thinking I would like it, and I really loved the first half, and then I didn't like the second half. I feel like it was slow burn and it was really good, and then the second half was like just rushed, and it was kind of disappointing in the end. And then it ended and I thought there was more of the book, but then the back part of the book was like something else, and I was like, oh, that was actually it. I'm still gonna read more by this author though. Oh, the name of that other book is literally right here. And then I read Radio Silence, and I read this book split up. I had started it before Sunrise on the Reaping and then finished it after, and then I guess I also read this in between. So I did read it like kind of split up. I really enjoyed the first half and then didn't really enjoy the second half, and I don't know if it's because I was just like in a different headspace by the time I got to the second half, or like what was going on, why I didn't like enjoy that as much. I still think it's a very good book. I also think that maybe if I had read it as a teenager, I would feel differently about it than reading it when I was 26 years old. So yeah, I don't know if it was just because I'm an adult that I really couldn't connect with the characters. And then Fearless was coming out by Lauren Roberts, which was the conclusion to the Powerless trilogy. So I reread Powerless. Powerful and Reckless before reading Fearless. And then later in the year, Fearful came out. And this was the last book I read of 2025. Actually, I finished this on New Year's Eve. So this year, I actually did read all these books. I really love the Powerless series. I do think the first one is the best. Especially rereading it, I was like, this is like peak. Like, I love this book so much. And Reckless was just, the second one is just kind of like a letdown, but I still love the romance in it. So like, I still love it. It's just like a big difference. And then Fearless, I feel like had so much going on in it that like, I was like all the edge of my seat, but it was just like, just not as good as Powerless. And then I'm just not the biggest fan of her novellas. So the novellas take place during the books. So like Powerful follows the main character's best friend. That's not Powerless. Powerful follows Peyton's best friend while Peyton's going through this book. And then this follows some characters from this book and then a new character during the events of this book. And it's interesting, like, knowing more about what's happening you're not seeing, but I don't know. Like, I like learning more, but at the same time, I just don't like them as much as the full-length novels. I don't know if she's done writing books for this world. I know this series is done, but I feel like there's going to be a spin-off in the world. I don't know. I'm going to continue reading her books, so I do like her writing. If you can hear my cat growling and my dog whining and barking through the door, I'm sorry. Okay, I let the cat in the room. He is safe from the dog. I don't know how it's gonna go with him being in here. I'm gonna try it. Okay, what book was I talking about? Oh, then I read Jackpot Summer, which I honestly really liked, and I was a little bit surprised because I know there are some mixed feelings about that book, but I don't know. I actually want to read more books like it in the sense that it is like a comedy, but it's not a like rom-com. It has a feeling of a rom-com, if that makes sense. Like it has a like the humor in the dialogue and the like plot between characters and stuff reminds me of like how a rom-com is written, but it's not focused on romance. It was focused on like family relationships. And I just really, really liked it. Like the plot itself is like whatever, like it's fine, but like I like the dynamics and the setup of the book with that kind of like humor and dynamics. I really liked that. So I would like to read more books like that if I could find them. Then I read The Things We Leave Unfinished, which I think is by Rebecca Yarros. I think that is one of her books she wrote before Fourth Wing. Like she also writes romance books. And I really, really loved this book. And it was kind of like bad timing reading this book because it has a similar plot to Great Big Beautiful Life. And I actually liked Things We Leave Unfinished better. They both kind of follow dual timelines, and there's like past timeline and present timeline. There's romance. There's like a story being told. And I just really like the way The Things We Leave Unfinished did it better than A Great Big Beautiful Life. So it's kind of bad timing reading them at the same time because I was listening to one and reading the other one physically, and I was just like, yeah. So Things We Leave Behind, or The Things We Leave, Things We Leave Unfinished. Really, really love this book. I want to read more of her romance books. Great Big Beautiful Life, I think, is my least favorite Emily Henry book I've read. I did not hate it. I just feel like there was too much happening at one time. I feel like I enjoyed the romance, and then I enjoyed hearing about What's-Her-Face's story, Margaret. But jumping back and forth was just like too much, and I couldn't fully enjoy either because there was just both happening and so much happening, and I just feel like it was just too much at one time. Cooper, please stop rubbing against the tripod. And yeah, so I'm going to continue reading her books. And then I read The Third Gilmore Girl, which is Kelly Bishop, that's her name. Her memoir. She is the actress that plays Emily Gilmore in Gilmore Girls. And I decided I love reading memoirs. This was my third one that I've read in my life. And yeah, I really, really like hearing about people's lives, especially people in like an industry where you just don't like know much about it. And I really love memoirs, and I loved Kelly Bishop's. I thought she was so funny, and I wish I knew her in real life. Like she seems like a great person, and I love her, and I want to go back and watch her work because I've only seen her in Gilmore Girls. And yeah, really, really love this book. Really love memoirs, especially listening to them. I listened to this and hearing her, she's so funny. Like I love hearing her tell stories. Like I wish I could meet her. Okay. And then I read Wild Reverence, and this was a book by Rebecca Ross. She wrote Divine Rivals, and this is actually in the same world. It's not in the same series, but it's in the same world. It's almost like a prequel, if you will, to Divine Rivals. And I actually read it as an arc before it came out, and I enjoyed it, but I feel like there was like so much world building that it was just like a lot to take in at one time. And it was kind of slow at times, but I still enjoyed it, and I was rooting for the characters. And if there's more books that come after this, I would read those now that I know more about the world, because like Divine Rivals just like scratches the tip of the iceberg, whatever that term is. And yeah, I do enjoy her writing, and there's a little like Easter egg at the end about Divine Rivals that I was like over. So yeah, this one was a good book. And then I read Night Music, which is another book by Jojo Moyes, and like I said, I'm reading through all of her books, and this one was probably my least favorite so far by her. I just it bounced a lot between a lot of different characters, and I had trouble connecting how they were connected. And eventually I did learn, but it was still kind of weird, and I could never also figure out what time this took place in, because it almost felt like it was historical fiction, but then I think the kids had phones, so like it was a little weird. I still enjoy her writing, but this one was not my favorite. I'll talk about these all at once because I read the Housemaid series. So The Housemaid, The Housemaid's Secret, The Housemaid's Wedding, which is a novella, and The Housemaid is Watching. I got Kindle Unlimited for a couple months, and so I read all of these basically in a month when I started my new job, because I would read on my lunch break. But anyway, so these are my first books by Frida McFadden, and I think I need to read more by her. First of all, I think I really like the story she is telling. I think it's very riveting and entertaining, and I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what the twist is going to be. It's very exciting to read it. I think the writing itself is a little amateurish, and I have not looked up to see where these books fall in her like discography. That's for music, whatever. Like if these are older and she's written more or what, but it's just like the writing itself just feels like it could use improvement, which is something you can improve. I think the longer you write, you could do better with that. And since the plot is so good, I think these books are good, and that's why I read all of them. But like I just had to kind of ignore like the sentence structure, that I wasn't a big fan of that. But yeah, I do want to watch the movie. I'm excited about that. And Cooper is actually laying on the floor right here. I'll take a picture because it's actually kind of crazy he's doing this. You'll just have to ignore my slipper that I had my phone propped against, but God, he looks so fat in this picture. I swear he's a okay weight. He just went to the vet like a month ago, and he's fine. He's just a big cat, and he doesn't hold his weight well. And then I read a lot of romance books over the summer. I had to put 2 dogs to sleep over the summer, and I was not doing good mentally, and I was really escaping into romance books. So there's a couple audiobooks mixed in that don't fit the vibe, but all the physical books you're about to see do fit the same vibe. So it starts with It's a Love Story, which is Annabelle Monaghan's new release, and I've decided she is another one of my favorite authors. I really, really love her writing, and I love the way she sets up like a romance book, and there's like so much more to it than just the romance, and I really love the characters and their connections and the humor, and I just love everything about her books. So yeah, I really like this one. I've read her 4 books, which I'll talk about, but I think this is my 3rd, so I really liked it, but it is not my favorite. But yeah, reading this did make me want to read more of her books, which I will get into. So love this author. And then I read another Jojo Moyes book as an audiobook. This one was kind of hard to follow because it followed a lot of different women. And when I finished the book, I actually did go back and reread the beginning of it because I was a little confused. But I think I got all the pieces, and I liked it. Again, not like a favorite of mine. I was kind of like on the edge of my seat, like what's going to happen to these characters, because I really didn't know. Even though the beginning of the book starts like current timeline and then it goes back to the past, I still kind of didn't know where it was going to go. So yeah, I really like her writing, like I've said. Prim! Please stop barking! So yeah, after reading It's a Love Story, I then went and bought Nora Goes Off Script. And I really, really love this one. This is up there with Summer Romance for me, which is my favorite by this author. I also really... Prim! I also really like that all of her main characters are like older women, not older, but like in their 30s. Like this is like she's already been married, you know, and she's moving on from that. And same as Summer Romance, and they have kids, and it's just so nice to see like that a woman who's been married and has kids can still have a like be the main person in a rom-com, you know, like your life is not over in your 30s. And I just really like that about her books. So this one was really cute. Love, love, love this author. Then I read Sounds Like Love, which is Ashley Pawson's new book. This was me kind of giving her a second chance because I read 7 Year Slip, loved it, and then I read her one in 2024, a novel love story, which I did not really like. And so this was me being like, do I like her writing, or was like 7 Year Slip a one-off? And I did really enjoy this one, so I think I just didn't like that one by her. This one was really cute, and I just always am looking forward to seeing how she puts magical realism into a rom-com seamlessly, and it worked for this one. I am so sorry she's barking. I don't know. It's definitely coming through on the camera. I can't make her stop though. I'm sorry. I do not know what she's barking at. Half the cats are in my room. Maybe there's another cat that needs to come in. She had a cat trapped in the bathroom, so now there are 3 cats in my room while I am filming this. Really sorry about the barking. Then I read Stuck Up and Stupid, which is a YA coming of age rom-com that is a like parody or remake or whatever of Pride and Prejudice. And I was actually so impressed by what the author did with this book, because it was literally so accurate to Pride and Prejudice. Like it was like every single plotline and character from Pride and Prejudice, but make it like this year, you know? It was like, yes, that is Elizabeth in 2025. Like, yes, that is Collins if he was in 2025. Like every single character, I was like, yeah, that's exactly how you would transport that character through this timeline. And it was so crazy accurate how every single plot line was there, and the characters were just so accurate to who they are in this. Like, it was kind of crazy. I was just so impressed by how she updated the plot. So it was really impressive. It wasn't bad, it was okay. It just made me want to read Pride and Prejudice. So I actually read that one after it. So then, I might have this book out of order. I feel like I read it before reading some of these. But anyway, The Summer I Turned Pretty, season 3 was coming out. So I did reread We'll Always Have Summer, which is the 3rd book. So it's the book that this season's based off of. I actually like the show better than the books. The books are very, I don't know, they're very simple. There's not a lot happening in them. And they're also written like early 2000s. So like the show just makes it a little bit more like modern and just adds a lot of more fun and entertaining twist to it that the book doesn't have. But there's still something nostalgic about the books. I never read them when I was a teenager or middle school, whatever, but there's just something nostalgic about her writing and the way she depicts like characters. And I'm just obsessed with the show so much that I actually read this book twice over the summer. I read it physically, and then I read it as an audiobook. And reading it as an audiobook was kind of crazy because 1, it is narrated by the actress, and 2, some dialogue is taken directly from the book, and I didn't realize it till I was hearing it, that it's like some of it's literally the same. So that's cool. But anyway, not my favorite books, but one of my favorite shows probably. Sorry. And then I decided to reread Annabelle Monaghan Same Time Next Summer, because this was actually the first book I read by her, and I listened to it as an audiobook, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I didn't know if it was because I listened to it as an audiobook or what, and so I did reread it physically, and yeah, it's the book. I just don't like the plot of this one that much. I don't like that there's like a gray area when it comes to cheating in it, and from what I've seen, a lot of people have that opinion about this book. It's not just me. So like, I still like her writing, I just didn't like the plot of this one, so this is my least favorite of her books. Then I reread Pride and Prejudice as an audiobook. That was my second time reading the book. I really do like that book and that story and the movie and the show. I like Pride and Prejudice, and reading Stuck Up and Stupid made me want to reread the book, and so it was really fun rereading Pride and Prejudice. Also, I'd never listened to it before, so that was fun. So yeah, I think, you know, classics can be fun if you choose to read them. So I think you should choose to read some of them. Then continuing with my romance kick, I read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This one came out in 2024, I think. I'm a little bit like behind on her releases. But yeah, so this was her first like romance book that was more erotica than romance. And that's what people say. It's honestly not that worse than her other books. Like, it is more smutty, but like it's still has like her same kind of plot and heart and whatever that she normally has in her romance books. So don't go into it thinking it is like just smut, because it's a Ali Hazelwood book, which is a little bit of extra in it. I did enjoy this one. Not my favorite by her, but I did really enjoy the characters, and I'm glad they got the ending they got. And it's funny because I actually read this one when I did, so I could read its sequel, which was like beachy. And I ended up liking this one more than the sequel. But next I read My Life with the Walter Boys, because like everyone else, I was waiting week for week for The Summer Turned Pretty, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch the Temu version of it, My Life with the Walter Boys. I actually had COVID, so I was just like watching TV all day in between sleeping. And I watched the entire first season in a day, and then the next day I started the second season because it actually had come out that week. So that's crazy. The book is very different from the show, and I think I like the show better. I also read the second one, My Return to the Walter Boys, and the ending of the first one is very different than the ending of the show, so the second book is nothing like the show after that. Because there's a love triangle in the show, both seasons, and the love triangle is only in book 1. I'll leave it like that. Show is better in my opinion. Sorry, I just didn't. These books were okay, but like, I don't know, I like the show better, which is not something I often say. I know I've already said that once in this video, but I swear, usually I like books better. So then I read Problematic Summer Romance, which was the sequel to this because it follows this guy's little sister. And my problem with this book is its age gap, and I knew that going into it. It still made me uncomfortable, and like the whole book, like, because the guy is older, like he's in his 30s, she's like 22, and the whole book he's like, oh, we can't be together, because like he makes such a big deal about it, but like end up together, like it's a romance book, that's not a spoiler, they end up together, and it's like, why did you make such a big deal about it if you were just gonna turn around? And I don't know, I like her writing, so it wasn't that. It was, I just didn't like how much older than her he was and how much a big deal he made about it than to turn around and be with her anyway. Like, probably my least favorite Ali Hazelwood book. Literally just because of that. Like, the plot is fine outside of their age. Like, I like the characters, I like the way she, like, I like everything about her writing. I just didn't like that. And then I read Quicksilver. And I listened to it, which maybe I would have gotten more out of it if I had read it with my eyes, because I feel like I missed some parts, especially like the way the guy does the voice. It is really hard to hear sometimes, like what he's saying, especially because I read while I listen while I drive to work, and it's like when you're on highways it gets kind of loud, and it's like you can only turn it up so much before it just hurts because it's loud, and like I still couldn't understand him that well, so I feel like I missed some plot lines. I don't know if I'm going to read the sequel. I just wasn't a big fan of it. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there was just so much world building and I still didn't understand the world. I didn't really like the ending. So, not my favorite romantasy. And I can't get over his name being Kingfisher. Nah. And then I read The Graham Effect. I have not read the other series, whatever it's called. I know you don't have to read it, but I did really enjoy The Graham Effect, so I think I actually do want to go back and read it, because these are sports romances, and The Graham Effect, the main girl is the daughter of a character from the original series, so like those people are all like older and have adult children now. And I really did like the writing, and like I said earlier, I think I do like sports romances now. So I do think I want to read more of those books. And then I read These Summer Storms, which is like a mystery book, but there's also some romance in it, which was just kind of weird. The romance was all over the place, and I don't know, I feel like there was going to be like a bigger revelation in it than there was. Like the big reveal at the end was like not as juicy as I thought it would be, because there's like a lot of family drama in this. I just thought there'd be like more. So like this wasn't bad, it was just kind of like, oh, that's it. And then I read Soul Searching, which I don't remember who wrote this, and I think I've read another book by them, but I don't remember who wrote this. I don't remember what book. I like this book. I like how this author does small towns, and I think I will probably read the sequel to it, but it wasn't like my favorite. I do think I really liked it. It just isn't like my favorite romance of the year, but I thought I liked the characters, and I liked the characters together, and I liked that this was I don't call it a paranormal romance because the main character can talk to ghosts. So I did like that aspect of it, and I do think I'll read the next book when it comes out because I think this is the first one of the series. And then I read Betting on You, which is my first Lynn Painter book, and I thought it was really cute. I don't think I have anything else to say. I thought it was really cute. I know there's big debate, like a lot of people will prefer her adult over her YA, or her YA over her adult. I actually did read one of her adult books later, so I don't know, I kind of like them both. I didn't really have a preference yet. And then I read Hunted, which was my horror book I read in October. This one was a bit thick. I read a Darcy Coates book every October because I really like the way she writes horror, because I feel like she's pretty good at juxtaposition between horror and like normal scenes, because a lot of her books are like at night, like things get like so creepy and you're just like, oh my god. Like if you're like at home in the dark, if you're like at home at night by yourself, like her books are like a little bit scary in my opinion. Then it's daytime and like all the scariness goes away and the characters are just like living life. And this one was like a little bit different just because of the plot of this one and where they are, because they're like stuck in the woods kind of thing. But yeah, I love the way she juxtaposes like horror and non-horror scenes. And I also really love in her books, what you're scared of is really not what you should be scared of, or you're scared of something but it's not what you think it is, or it's not as it seems. Like I just really love that, like there's like a twist almost. I don't know, I just really like that about her writing. That's why I keep reading her writing. Her books are not always the best, but I just really like how she sets her stories up, and that's why I keep reading them. And then I read the adult Lynn Painter book, which was Happily Never After, and I thought this one was cute. I don't really have much else to say. I think I will keep reading Lynn Painter books. I don't think she's going to be my favorite author, but I think she's an author that I will keep reading. Do you see a squirrel or a bird or something? Do you see friend? No, that's your bird. You see a bird, that's your bird meow. And then I read another Ali Hazelwood book, which was Mate, which is the sequel to Bride, which is Ali Hazelwood's dip into paranormal romance. And paranormal romance is not for me, but I just love Ali Hazelwood that I'm going to keep reading her paranormal romances. But I just like nodding, like I don't need to read about that, okay? Like that's not for me, but I love her writing, so I will keep reading whatever genre she wants to put out. I'm gonna read it, okay? And then I read Ready Player One, and I actually kind of liked it. And I know a lot of people think this book is bad, and like I'm not disagreeing, like I can see why you think it's bad, but I actually was really entertained and on the edge of my seat, and I wanted to know more, and I will be reading the second one. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Like this is a book that my boyfriend like irrationally hates. Like he'll go on tangents about how much he hates this book, and I was like, hey, so I started this book and like I actually kind of like it. And yeah, I kind of want to rewatch the movie because I did see it when it came out and I remember literally nothing about it, so I want to see what they did with the plot. I'm just very curious about that. Then I read Beg, Borrow, or Steal, which is the third book in the Rome, Kentucky series. And I really liked it. I really like her writing. I haven't read her other books, but I want to. I really love the Rome, Kentucky series. This one might be tied with the second one. I really like the second one. I wasn't a big fan of the first one. Like I liked it enough to continue, but yeah. I just really like her writing. I really like this town. And the next one comes out. Oh, it's already out now. It came out like the last week of December. And I'm sad to be leaving Rome, Kentucky because I really love romances set in small towns. Like I just want to be in them. Then I read Not Quite Dead Yet, which is Holly Jackson's new release, and you can see my puppy did get a hold of this one, so now I have to be careful where I keep my books. And I really loved this one. I love all of her books. I think my favorite is still Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I don't know, I think this one might be my second over the reappearance of Rachel Price. This one was just so different than any other mystery or thriller like I've ever read. It was just so, I don't know, it was just different, and I was hoping it would have a different ending than it did. I'm not, like it ended the way it should have, but I just wanted more for that character, I think. But yeah, this book is really good. I really liked it. Then I read Good Spirit, which is my second B.K. Borson book. I also read another Christmas book by this person. I didn't really like it. I might read more books by this person. I don't know. I didn't really like either that I've read so far. Then I read The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year, which I really, really liked this book. I thought it was the perfect mix of mystery and romance, which usually I don't like when they're combined, but I really liked the way this one did it, and I really enjoyed it. Then I read My Favorite Holiday, which was, I don't know, I actually really like this. It has like, it's very, very trope heavy. Like it has like fake dating and a billionaire and a single dad. And I thought I had another one. Oh, it's Workplace. He's her boss. Like so trope heavy, but like when you're actually reading it, it doesn't feel trope heavy. I just think it's like a cute romance and I liked it. And yeah, I don't always like Christmas romances, but I did like this one. So at least I liked one that I read. Yeah, and then the last book I'll talk about that I read, because I already talked about the last actual book that I read, was Becoming, which is Michelle Obama's memoir. And I really, really enjoyed it. She read it, and it's just so interesting to hear about people's lives. Like, I just truly, really do love memoirs, and I love learning about stuff that I just don't know much about. Like, it was really interesting to hear what it's like to be the spouse of someone in politics and like her raising their kids. And not that he didn't help, but like it was just obviously a lot of the burden fell on her, and just like how his like politics like affected their marriage and what they did to make it work. And just, I don't know, it was just so interesting. And just also like learning about her background, because I didn't know anything about her. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed reading her book, and I really love memoirs. And yeah, it was a good, one of the last books I read this year. Is a good way to end off the year. Hi, ignore how I look, but while editing this video, I remembered 2 books that I read as audiobooks that I did not have anywhere in my notes. So I read them like summer into fall, whatever. And that is The Peacock Emporium. And I'm gonna sound like a broken record. I promise I really do like this author's writing. I also did not like this one very much, but I think it's because I didn't really like any of the characters, especially the main character. She was just, I didn't like the choices she made, how she thought. Like, I just didn't really like anything about her. So this one was like character based as to why I didn't really like it. And the other one I read was Not a Love Song, something like that. And I really don't remember what I thought about this one. I don't think I loved it, but I don't think I hated it. I think it was like okay. I think there was certain things about it I didn't love. I remember complaining about it to my boyfriend, but I don't remember what I complained about. Goes to show why I forgot to put it in my notes. But yeah, those are 2 other books that I read to make my total of 77 books for 2025. If you can hear ripping sounds while I'm talking, that's why. Oh, you got a piece off. And yeah, so those are the 75 books I read in 2025. And honestly, it'll be another video for like my top 10 books, but it was honestly kind of hard to pick because I feel like I had very few that I absolutely loved, and it was just books that like I enjoyed, but I wouldn't say they're my absolute favorites. So my top 10 list was actually kind of hard to make because a lot of them were just like good, but not like great, you know? It wasn't like a bad year of reading. I read, and I didn't read as much as I normally do, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Life happens. I do think I want to try to prioritize reading more in 2026, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, those are the books I read. I feel like in the end, my reviews weren't actually as brief as I said they would be, but oh well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope I get back into booktube in 2026, but we'll see. And maybe you can watch some more of my videos, and no, bye.